Greetings, Geek Warriors. It's time for another Geek Wars podcast. This one's a little bit different because of it being Thanksgiving week and all. We decided we're not going to record on our normal day. We're not in the normal studio spot we're in. But we're here to bring you some special content. I'm here with Ben. It's just Trevor and Ben.
And Ben.
And Ben, what do we have here today? What are we doing?
So what we're doing today without Ken, sadly, because Ken's busy doing stuff. So the two of us, and we're kind of stealing this concept a little bit from Geek History Lesson, who we love, by the way. So if you guys are ever listening to this, thank you so much. But ours is a little bit different. What we did is we're going to take over the DC film universe and the Marvel film universe.
Yes.
And we're gonna do it two different ways, and maybe a third way with yours. Where we're gonna start from scratch, but we're also gonna pick it up from where it is now. So you're gonna hear what we would do from going from there. The interesting thing, though, is that for some of you who have listened to the show and maybe seen some of our YouTube videos, Trevor and I have a somewhat of a the fans are calling it a bias. I see us both as being pretty strong fans of both.
We're a little biased, but we're also just
both
fans
seem
of
to
both.
have a little bias.
I think it's bias and just we prefer. I think with the movies specific, it's the tone. We just have a different interest in the tone, and everything.
So my bias is more towards Marvel usually, and Trevor's bias is more towards DC. So for this exercise, we're flipping the script. I'm going to take over DC. Trevor's going to take over Marvel, and we'll see what happens with that. Right?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Now, yeah, I want to talk about, because I say a third, it's not really a third way, it's more just, I just thought about it, because the first way, one of the ways we talked about doing this is we just go from where it is, and I feel like Marvel's so established, it's kind of like, why would I change something?
Their gameplay,
you can't
dramatically solid.
You can't spin and do something dramatic all of a sudden where it's like such a dramatic change.
You could reboot the universe, and instead of starting with Iron Man, start with Captain America or something. I'm saying
that's the reboot part. The problem now is the going on from now, just going forward in what they're doing. It's basically I do what they're doing. Yeah. Because it'd be weird to do anything else, any massive change to the formula, because then you're just throwing off your audience. Yeah. And so I feel like they're going in the right direction. It's basically what I've said in podcasts before, is just my prediction of what is happening. Okay. It would be my thing of they're putting in, for these films they have going forward that we'd have announced, you put in minor characters that are sort of side friend characters, but they become villain later. You can build that up for an Avengers with the new Avengers. And I guess my idea would be you get rid of people like Tony Stark, specifically for after this next Avengers, the Infinity War, he's gone.
Can we? Are we officially? You seem to have jumped right into it.
I'm starting.
Yeah, we've already started. Okay, so going from now. This is Trevor's plan for the Marvel universe. I think this
is going to be the quickest. Is basically you get rid of Tony Stark at Infinity War. I think this is the best time because I think Civil War for me that was his best performance. Okay. As probably Robert Downey Jr. except maybe the first Iron Man. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen that in a while, so maybe I could be wrong in ruffling it, because this one definitely had more emotion. Civil War, he probably showed more emotion than any other time, and so I feel like we're getting to that point where you're going to leave him on a high, and I think that's where you want, because I think for a while there, I was ready to get rid of him, and I just kind of was annoyed. I was just kind of like, I don't care anymore about Iron Man, I don't care about Robert Downey Jr., I think he's just, what's it called? Just throwing away,
throwaway jokes?
No, he's not trying particularly hard when he's acting. So I feel like he's just sort of phoning it in. Thank you. Yes. I was thinking throwing in the towel, but that was all I got.
Throwing in the towel is quitting, but phoning it in is
I wanted phoning it in.
Not quitting, but not trying anymore.
That's what I was trying to go for. I just couldn't think of it at the time. But that's what I think. I think you kind of get rid of him for sure. The other ones are a bit more up in the air on. Maybe they take a smaller role. Mm-hmm. I would say going forward.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing too. Getting rid of him saves you a pile of money. Yeah, so it sounds like he's getting like $50 million per movie.
His name in, I believe it was Civil War or Age of Ultron. His name, like in the credits when they're going down the credits, you see his name, Robert Downey Jr. The title of the film, everyone else's credits.
Oh wow!
So his name was first. So he's getting that much money. I think, it would probably save them money. And honestly, I don't know if he's the big brings in the box office anymore too much, like he used to. Like everyone was saying Iron Man, now people are like they're cool with Cap, and just the Marvel name.
I think now, it's the Marvel name. It's the characters.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be a big Hollywood name anymore.
No one needs to know the characters. You just throw in Marvel, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's a Marvel movie. All right, I'll go see it." So I think...
Well, Guardians, of course, had almost no huge name stars.
I'd say, yeah.
I mean, Zoe Saldana and Chris Pratt. But Chris Pratt, that was the thing that made him a movie star.
That's what pretty much did it, So no, it wasn't any sort of thing like that. I think that would be best, is get rid of him. Maybe... And everyone else could take maybe a minor role in sort of helping the new Avengers that's coming in take over. So we have...
Okay, so who are the new
Doctor
Avengers?
Strange, Spider-Man... Vision, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, Black Panther.
Okay.
Because those are the
solid team.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. I guess that's a pretty big team.
That's a pretty big team, yeah.
See, because that's the thing, they have to get rid of all these other ones because they have so many Avengers coming in.
Exactly.
So I don't know if all those are going to stay or not, but I'd say those seem to be the next group.
Well, and this has always been the beauty of the Avengers team, is that it is constantly being rewritten and changed, and
And I think the other characters, some might stay on. So I think maybe as minor characters. So I think Cap could be just sort of an advisory sort of role almost, as sort of just basically almost Nick Fury-esque.
If they do that, do you think they do the thing where they age him?
That's what I've been thinking. That's actually my reboot.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Little tease.
That's my reboot. But no, this one, it's pretty much keep it as is. Get this new Avengers team. The other characters are smaller characters within maybe the Avengers, or they sort of go away. Maybe you have to do something to get rid of them if you're not going to kill them, though.
Yeah.
And that's the confusing thing, is maybe Thor's now just like he's king of Asgard or something. And so now they just go and visit Asgard every once in a while or something if they need Thor's help or dealing with that, but you don't see him too often, so you know where he's at, though, if they could do it in one movie somewhere down the line. And you do
when you get to phase 6 or whatever, and you're at the next giant event movie. Yeah.
You can show up. We know Valkyrie's being like interested, so we'll have other hero characters related, so they could show up and they could take them there and stuff like that, but that's mainly it, because I didn't think too much into it, because I feel like there's so much just already solid there, it's hard to speculate almost to move this forward. But that's my quick analysis on that bit.
Okay. My plan, and I'll go ahead and kind of do the same thing you did, but for DC. My version of picking up from where they are has to start with what I think is probably the biggest emergency in the DC world right now, which is The Flash.
Yeah.
2 directors down, kind of in limbo, and 18 months away from a release date.
Now, you have a director. Are you talking about the director you're going to go
I have a director in mind.
So here's what I want to guess. Is it Edgar Wright?
No.
Is it not Mark Miller. Not Frank Miller. The guy, Max.
George Miller.
George Miller.
No.
Okay, good.
It's a guy
That's what everyone says, so I just want to see.
It's a guy that I believe is just about done with a project. We might have to wait for him for a couple months, meaning that we're probably going to have to delay the release of The Flash.
It sounds like rumors are that Aquaman and Flash are switching places.
Okay.
So
that would end up working.
Yeah.
No, the guy that I'm thinking is coming off another huge, giant blockbuster. I was hoping for Rian Johnson. From Episode 8, Star Wars.
8. Okay, yeah, he is just getting off of that.
He's just going to be done with that here pretty soon, if not already.
I don't know how long he's going to be working on that.
That would be my big worry there. Is that
because directors don't start a thing until after their movie comes out. Their last movie comes out.
That's
right?
True.
For the big ones, at least.
That's true.
Like, you didn't, you don't
Abrams didn't start working on anything else until Episode 7 got released.
Yeah.
And it sounded like he was working on it, like up to the week before the release date.
I think with these big franchises, they might be contracted to where... Like, they have to, do something right away after the movie goes out, and they're, the first weekend they get huge box office, and they're like, all right, you get to do the second one. And so they have to wait for that.
Yeah.
They might have to wait.
Well, but here's the thing. The next one has already been booked, so they already have a director.
The next director. But they want him for a side story. They can want him for something like that.
So, his contract issues would be a little up in the air. If I can't get him, I don't think I'd go with Edgar Wright, just because we've already seen that this
concept of connected worlds gives him troubles. Yeah, he wants to do his own separate. He wants to do his own separate thing. And I think,
if there's any issues with that at all, he walks.
And that seems to be something we might be having issues with already.
With
so
certain directors, and we've already had that with.
If that could be the Flash, we don't know.
So, I probably wouldn't go Edgar Wright if I couldn't get Rian Johnson. The other person who at this point I don't know if he's doing anything else out there. I might talk to but J.J. Abrams feels like he's bigger than the project, and I don't necessarily want that. The other person, because he's done 2 episodes of the TV show, and I'm interested in this. I mean, here's the thing:
Kevin Smith.
So when he does movies, they're terrible. His movies lately are awful. Tusk is terrible.
Yeah.
Yoga Hosers I haven't seen, but it's based off Tusk, so that's going to be terrible. And then, although Red State was the other one he did before that one, and that one was okay. That one I'd heard pretty good things about.
Yeah.
And I've seen the first half of it, and it's pretty good. So, and we've seen how he's done The Flash, well, at least one episode, and it was good. It was one of the more heartfelt...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I think this is good, but I think directors aren't very important for TV in particularly, but I think it gets his foot in the door of how it works and how you make superheroes.
This is my thought, and so what we've
I
heard
think he needs a smaller movie first. He needs
what we've heard from his second episode though is that it's a lot more action intense.
Yeah.
So he's kind of been to,
and I think that's a good thing.
Superhero action school.
I think though he needs to
same thing with his episode of Supergirl.
Yeah.
So,
but he needs to move on to a smaller project that's his own. I think before because I don't know if he has the big budget thing down.
Maybe, yeah.
Because every movie he does is pretty low budget, pretty simple, has a very similar style to it that's... I don't know if it translates well to the big blockbusters quite.
Possibly not, yeah. I'd be a little worried about this. I mean, this is like an emergency situation, though, where we've now had 3 different
and
directors.
I would get someone stable, then, if you have an emergency situation, then... this person who's never done it.
I mean, the hard thing about that is,
Seth
where
Graham
do you
Smith.
go? Where do you go look?
Is Seth Graham Smith levels almost, but not as bad because he's shown to be a shit writer too and all this stuff. Whereas Kevin Smith at least does have some really good stuff.
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't really think of another director really that's out there.
Yeah, it's
maybe Louis Leterrier, who did The Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
He might be able to swing it. He's done some good stuff too with Taken and some other projects out there.
He did Taken?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's somebody that could do it, but at the same time, Flash already feels like he's pulling to be the comic relief of the DC universe.
So
that's another reason why a turn towards Kevin Smith feels
and
more...
also, it feels like they're going for a young comedy.
Yeah.
Someone who's hip with the times.
Someone who's hip and with the times. I mean, if we're looking at that sort of thing, this is where I go back and start pulling from TV again.
Yeah.
For instance, actually, this would be more of a producer / director type thing. The 2 guys, I think it's Carter Bays and Craig Thomas. These are the guys who did How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
So to bring them in, so that you definitely have, because the way that they kind of rewrote how to do a sitcom, that up until then sitcoms had been this,
mm-hmm.
and then they came along and was like, no, we're rewriting. I mean, the other idea would be to steal from Marvel and give Dan Harmon a shot.
Yeah.
Community always had tons of heart and tons of special effects and tons of other things that a lot of other sitcoms didn't have. But if we're looking for that really cool hip comedy world hybrid, I think those 2 teams, either the Dan Harmon team or Craig Thomas and Carter Bays, those guys would be a very interesting way of going at it. Again, neither one of them I don't think has ever really done action stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think Taika Waititi did a bunch of action stuff before he took Thor.
He just had What We Do in the Shadows, I think, was like the only... and that had a decent amount of just like flying people on wires.
Yeah. But, because I think when you do stuff like this, that part of it isn't as much of a big deal. You can find fight choreographers and special effects directors, stuff like that, to kind of fill in the holes that the director might have. Yeah. So that would be my plan for The Flash.
Okay.
For the rest of it, I agree with you. I think DC's building up ahead of steam. I know so far they don't have everybody kind of buying in the way that Marvel seems to.
Yeah.
But I think Wonder Woman is definitely going to change a bunch of that. Wonder Woman looks amazing. It looks better than anything else we've seen from DC so far. Justice League also looks really cool, really amazing. So based on the strength of those two, plus from what we've heard about Aquaman, the only other stuff on there that I'd kind of change and muck about with...
It's the stuff we don't have much on.
Is the stuff that might be tentative yet. So, like, I would cast Shazam, like, as quickly as you can.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have anybody.
I find it weird that we have the bad guy, and apparently Dwayne Johnson's on as a producer as well.
Yeah.
But we don't have the good guy, which almost leads me to believe, and this is kind of how DC Comics did it for a while, too. For a while there, Black Adam was more popular and in more stuff than
I remember that,
Captain Marvel Shazam. So I think they might end up doing something like that, where we have Shazam, but he's a one-off, and then we get a whole thing, because really Black Adam is the interesting character.
Yeah.
He's the anti-hero, he's the is he a villain, is he a hero, he's also a president, so we get all that kind of cool shit going on there. The other thing that I would do is, Zack Snyder is currently tentatively, I guess, scheduled to be the director of the Justice League sequel. I would take him out of that spot. I think I've seen what he does now with these projects. I've seen it twice, and I've seen enough. So, I would go on with in a different direction. Possibly having James Wan or Patty Jenkins take over that one, just kind of in the same way that the Russo brothers, when they succeeded so well with Winter Soldier, are now like rewarded with the flagship. Same kind of system. Yeah,
that's sort of what I was thinking. Yeah.
If you're going to kill it, or even maybe Affleck, depending on how although I mean, the Justice League sequel comes out before possibly the Batman one does.
I think Ben Affleck wants more time. Like, he's very specific on he needs as much time as he wants. He's not gonna. And so I think Justice League for him would probably not be the thing.
Probably not.
That's a definite. This is when it's coming out.
Yeah,
we have a schedule.
The only other thing that I would really push forward faster than it's happening,
Green Lantern,
is Green Lantern.
Yeah,
I don't understand why Green Lantern's getting shelved all the way till 2020. In the what I will now call the Inhuman spot, which is it's the last thing on the schedule. It's the thing we're most likely to bump if something goes wrong.
Yeah,
and I get that the stink from the Ryan Reynolds movie is still palpable. All the more reason, I think, to get ahead of this thing and change it and fix it.
I don't know. I feel like it's part of the story they're trying to go with of gathering, because Batman can't gather someone from space, and sort of like this whole idea of
that's another thing. I think I would get Green Lantern away from space. Like, the space part of it is there, and it's definitely a part of the Green Lantern mythos, and we definitely are going to go to space at some point.
See, that's the opposite of what everyone is saying, and what like the rumor is. Is the rumor is that this is going to be a epic space buddy cop type thing.
And see, that's fine and everything.
And that's probably because it's called Green Lantern Corps, not Green
Lantern. That's another thing. I would kill that.
It's definitely the.
I would kill that. Here's what I would do. I would, and this is in keeping with my love of Green Lantern, I would not do Hal Jordan. I would not do Guy Gardner. I would do Kyle Rayner.
Yeah.
I would do Kyle Rayner because this eliminates. Well, he's my favorite. Also, it eliminates all the need for space stuff. So instead of a Green Lantern Corps with thousands of Green Lanterns all over the universe, now there's one.
You know who also does that? Alan Scott.
A little bit. Here's my one thing with Alan Scott. He's a Aryan blonde. I mean,
and we're set up now as that's the Justice Society type thing.
Yeah, and I don't, and that's another thing that they don't have scheduled, and I would schedule a JSA movie.
You would,
and I would make it all. I would put all the schmaltz and all the. I would really capture kind of what Captain America did, and even when he does in the current movies, that he's got that old school charm of being a Depression era guy.
Yeah. They'd wear, like, the outfits of the Minutemen from the Watchmen in that movie and everything.
Okay.
If you remember how they look. Do you remember, like, the old pictures when they showed all... And it was just sort of this weird, goofy looking... Very comic
I do remember them all being weird and goofy looking and comic booky. I would bring all of that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much how the shows look on TV. Like, every costume on all the TV shows is basically bring in one of their costume designers to make the costume. Because that's pretty much what it is it's the schmaltzy.
The other thing that I would introduce to the Justice League stuff, and even though this is going to immediately draw comparisons to Hawkeye, I'd add Green Arrow. And I'd get Stephen Amell to play him.
I'm really not going to like your universe, dude.
That's totally okay.
He is bad as Arrow, in my opinion.
Here's the thing, though, is that
so bad.
He's got a big fan following already as Arrow. The Arrowverse has a big fan following. I would bring that along. I wouldn't connect him because you've already screwed the pooch on that.
Now you're really fucking shit up. You're making him a different Green Arrow, but not connecting it.
Yeah. All right. So scratch that idea. We're not going to use Stephen Amell. I'll use the Green Arrow from Smallville.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll use that guy. I'll use that guy.
Oh no, he's doing else now.
He's on something else now. I saw him the other day.
Isn't it Justin Hartley or something?
Justin Hartley, yes. I will get Justin Hartley.
I remember his name.
He will be my Green Arrow for the TV show. Yeah, or for the movie. But I definitely want to add him in because I think Justice League needs to have more members like that, more human. Because I mean that was the one thing that I thought Age of Ultron actually did really well was let Hawkeye be this. Really, because while all the crazy bullshit is happening around us, Hawkeye gets to be this very human, real voice in the midst of all of it, and that's the same thing you can do that with Green Arrow. So, also he can be a bit of a political voice, and I think that's a fun thing that the comic movies really stay the hell away from.
Yeah,
and Green Arrow just dove right the fuck into it, and I loved that about him.
I would say that these movies dealt with politics. DC so far has dealt a little with politics.
A little bit.
I mean, Man of Steel was all about climate change and saving the planet.
True. That's true.
And then Batman v Superman really dealt quite a bit with policy and...
That's true.
Yeah.
So I would definitely add him. I'd move Green Lantern up. So this Untitled... actually, I'm going to give that to Batman, the October 5th, 2018.
That sounds like where it's probably going to be anyway.
Yeah. No, but November 1st, 2019, that's going to be Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell that story, and then in the second one, so the first one, I'm gonna keep it all on Earth, and I'm going to tell and I know this is kind of like, in the comic world, this is kind of thought of as a really shitty story, and actually they've gone to lengths to change it in the future.
Oh.
The first Kyle Rayner Green Lantern story was he gets his powers, he starts learning about his powers, and right as he's feeling like he's got a handle on him, Major Force shows up and stuffs his girlfriend in a fridge.
Yeah, this is the huge thing that caused a massive controversy because...
hashtag fridge girls, or girls in fridge.
Yeah, girls in refrigerators. Yeah, this is a huge thing. This is how Gail Simone started writing comic books, basically, is because they kept doing this to women characters. And she was only introduced to kill off, basically, to inspire him.
Sort of, yeah. And it's a really shitty thing to do. So
it's what Magneto did. They did with Magneto in X-Men Apocalypse.
Exactly.
They just introduced a family just because they wanted to kill them off. So yeah.
Well, and that's another thing. I want to give her a little bit more to do than that. So one of the things that she kind of did in the comic books, and they really didn't flesh it out as much, was she really helped him kind of understand what was going on and that he should have a costume. That, like, initially he shows up at her place with the ring and he's like, check it out, I got a ring, it's cool, what's up? and has no idea of, like, I'm Green Lantern. I guess she's the one who tells him, holy crap, that's Green Lantern's costume. Yeah. You're Green Lantern now. And he's like, really? It's like, he seems surprised by all of it. I would pull that out and do more of that. So that she ends up becoming not just the girlfriend, but also the teacher. So that killing her off, she isn't just created to kill off. She's created to kind of help him stand up and help. Because that's the other thing that is hinted at in the comic book, but I would show more of. He was a real kind of flaky. He was a little bit of a flaky loser. Yeah. Before he became Green Lantern.
He was a starving artist type.
He was a starving artist, and he ends up being a starving artist to the rest. Yeah. But I would go further. I would go like the early scenes of what's that show? Limitless. The early scenes of the movie Limitless, where they show Bradley Cooper being a total a jackass, and he can't get his shit together, and he's just a complete shiftless layabout. I would show him there, and then show that because of the ring and her, she kind of drags him kicking and screaming into adulthood, and then right as he's ready to embrace the adulthood, that shit happens, and it fucks with his shit. And then going forward, I would never ever put him in a situation like that again. Yeah. Because the other thing they did in the comics that I kind of liked, his second girlfriend is Donna Troy. So now she can take care of him. So then, but now they show him struggling with that idea of I need to protect you, and she's like, I'm a Dark Star, I'm a badass, I can watch my own shit. Good. Yeah. And so they deliberately, even like further on in their relationship, at one point she says, "You need to let go of me. I can't shoot lasers at the bad guys while you're holding me." And he's like, "Oh, sorry." She like, yeah. And it's, so yeah, I because here's the thing, as much as like a lot of people are like, "Oh no, it's a bad story," think of what that did though for Gail Simone and people like that. Yeah. I think there is a value to that
I think there's value
of showing it and then flipping it.
I mean, this is basically very similar to Killing Joke in a lot of ways, except it's less popular. But you're hoping for basically.
But the connection between Batman and Barbara isn't as solid as the connection would be to Kyle and Alex.
Well, they didn't make it solid in that story. And basically they're saying, you want to, I mean, your idea is definitely better than just showing a sex scene.
Oh, God, no, yeah. If anything, I think there might, that's another thing. When he first shows up back up in her life, she makes him sleep on the couch. Mm-hmm. I will absolutely be doing that. So that's my plan for the Green Lantern stuff. Cyborg, I'm going to leave where it is. The other thing that I'm going to push harder on to make happen and go is Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
I think that's, Justice League Dark is the Doctor Strange for the DC universe. Like, that's the thing that opens up that whole...
We opened up magic, though, with Suicide Squad. They already had, like,
there's some magic...
There was a shit ton of magic in that.
There's some magic in that, but there's not, like, the whole other... The thing that Doctor Strange did was it opened up the concept of other worlds and universes.
It sounds like The Flash is going to do that.
Flash is going to open up the multiverse concept.
Yeah.
But with Justice League Dark, with Phantom Stranger, with Satana, with all those different people, you open up all kinds of interesting and occult stuff that I think is going to be... It's going to hit a lot harder than I think they're thinking it will. Like, they're thinking people would be mildly interested in it.
I don't think so. They are the ones who have Harry Potter.
Exactly.
I think they know that, like...
You'd think, but then look at what they're doing with it. They're not... It's not getting fast-tracked. It's not getting pushed.
Well, here's the thing. It shouldn't just be... Like, they've been working on this. The thing is, they're trying to hit it made. Like, they don't have a date because... I mean, the other ones are... forced into a box. This one isn't. This one's being given space to write. I think isn't that better to be given sort of...
Yeah, but not at the same time, it feels like there's not a sense of... There's kind of this sense of, like, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Well, it's not one of their big tentpole ones.
Exactly.
Well, it isn't. Be. Because it isn't. It's not going to get them as much money as...
I think if they did it right, it could.
But it won't. It's not the big name. I'm not saying whether you get it right or not.
Oh, yeah, but, like you can get a big name for John Constantine...
No, I'm not talking about... So it's still... I don't think... I just don't think it's going to pull in. And I don't know. I think they're on the way, and they already did start magic. They really... Because they had so much with those gods. They're witches. They're gods. Yeah. They had a shit ton of crazy stuff going on there. So they already introduced it, and they introduced it without like, ooh, let's go into the mind and slowly sort of... They have to, like, describe what it is. They never even spent much time describing that this is magic. They're like, you know what magic is. This is magic. And they just did it. And so I think you're already in that world. They're ahead of Doctor Strange, I think, even. Like, they did more than Doctor Strange did. I would say because Doctor Strange is exposition about what magic is.
Yeah.
They skipped exposition in Suicide Squad, basically. And just were like, this is what magic is.
Well, because they also didn't... They're not talking about the occult of the world. They were talking about a specific character.
Yeah, but I still think that's... the way they've addressed it is more like ahead because they're already willing to accept that people accept what magic is. Doctor Strange is... People don't accept magic in our world. We have to really explain it to them.
Well, it hasn't existed in the Marvel world.
Exactly. But that's the thing is people understand... Like, you don't need... I feel like you still don't need to...
Yeah, but their magic has specific rules and stuff like that that aren't normal.
There are... Yeah, but I still think...
Because you don't want Harry Potter wand guns.
Yeah, but they did have that, though. They had electricity bolts that just did... They could do whatever with electricity bolts. It's the same thing. You say that, but they did.
Yeah, but he made shit out of it. He made shields, and he made whips, and he made, like, swords, and he made...
That's what they do in Harry... They also made shields in Harry Potter.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
They just did the swish of the wand, and then immensely blocked your bullet. So...
I feel that's what Doctor Strange pretty much did. A lot of electricity. I mean, they did more. I'm just saying they still did that.
Basically, my whole point of this was I would push Justice League Dark harder. I would. You've got the director, you've got a writer, you've got everything that you need. I would start I would start...
force them to have a, here's your date, go.
Not here's your date, but more like I'm going to be checking in like weekly, and I want to hear progress, and I want to see that stuff's moving. Because no, you're right. I want it to wait till it's good, but at the same time, I don't want it to be like, oh, and Justice League Dark, and you can just work on that whenever you show up.
I don't know if it's whenever. I mean, they just have to write the script. They're still writing the script. They don't have a script, so they have to work on that. I mean, the fact that they're even doing this is insane, because that's not a property that you would even normally probably think of doing right away for your movie universe. That's where
I absolutely think that's a property.
It's such a new property, though, for them.
And I would also...
And it failed in their comics. People weren't buying Justice League Dark.
That's because it wasn't marketed well.
No, it's because people... They put Justice League in front of it to market it because that would sell better, and it still didn't sell well.
See, I think that's... If you do it right, marketing this well...
It was a good book.
Guardians of the Galaxy didn't totally sell very well as a comic book either.
Yeah, I'm just...
There wasn't a Guardians of the Galaxy comic book when they made the movie.
How many movies out before they made that movie?
And see, that's... If anything, I think you can learn from that lesson without having to...
That's like saying after Iron Man and Hulk, you said, Guardians of the Galaxy next. Let's do Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think you could have.
I don't think it would have... It would not have made as much money.
No, probably not.
It would have made maybe half.
Possibly.
It would have made quite a lot less.
I think a lot of that ended up making money based on word of mouth and stuff.
And Marvel's name. It was Marvel's name.
Was a big part of it.
And yeah, it was definitely word of mouth, but I think it just wouldn't have had the name recognition.
So my reasoning behind this, though, is that the other thing that I would start doing
is... And DC doesn't have that name recognition. People would be like, I don't give a shit about
like they keep announcing cast for movies, but they're announcing like small little roles. Like, oh, Billy Crudup is going to play the Flash's dad.
Well, they're
big casting. That's not a big casting. I don't care who plays Billy, who plays the Flash's dad.
The thing is, they're just slowly announcing things as time, because they have to do it to keep people interested slowly over time.
Exactly, I totally see that. But to me, the whole Justice League Dark, that's a whole team that you could. I mean, just the same as you did Justice League. It was exciting every time you released a name for Justice League. You could be doing the same thing with Justice League Dark.
But they don't have anything solid yet down for it, so they can't announce here's who casting.
Just so hire a giant, huge name for John Constantine, and that guy gets like script approval
without knowing where you're going.
He gets script approval. Like he gets the right of refusal based on the script.
Okay.
So and actually and one of the names that I would think about, Clive Owens. Clive Owens, who's kind of like sunk into the background, hasn't been around for a while.
Is Constantine?
I think he could pull it off.
I don't.
Okay.
I really, really don't.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I don't know. My other option there would be, I think Colin Farrell would be a good John Constantine. Mostly because he walks around the Earth already looking like John Constantine.
Yeah.
Smoking and drinking all the time. And
he just needs blonde hair.
Yeah.
And then you're pretty much, she's John Constantine.
Yeah.
No, I'm not against that.
And I would let him use his normal Irish accent, too.
Oh, you would? Okay, so he's going to be Irish in this.
Sure.
That's fine. I don't think it's huge.
It's the same regional thing.
Then plus, again, they're going to be more annoyed with it. I think,
like one of the funny things about him being when he was in Bruges, he got to use his regular voice, and his regular voice is almost hard to understand to the point of being funny. And I think that would be a fun thing to add, kind of to the character. Is I do this and I do this and I'm grouchy and I'm also a little bit like. So then you could have characters like, what the fuck did he say? So another thing,
want to do the funny accent?
I'm going that rated R. Justice League Dark, I'm going to go rated R.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. This sounds like a terrible... How big is your budget on this thing? This has to be a pretty low budget.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking like 50, 60 million tops. I'm pointing this more towards...
So it's going to be like a...
Like a Deadpool type thing.
With a huge name like that?
See, that's the thing, though. He's not a... What was the last thing he was in?
Harry Potter?
No, Clive Owen.
Clive Owen. Oh, not him. Fuck, I don't know.
But even Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell isn't a huge... He's not a huge get anymore. He's not really pricey.
He's definitely...
I mean, Harry Potter barely announced him for,
Fantastic Beasts?
Yeah.
I mean, they got him for a TV show. Yeah, I guess.
I think he's a lot cheaper to get now than
I don't know, though. I don't know.
So, I mean, we're not in Minority Report days. We're not in, Anyway, so that's my plan. And
dark
then
magic with really cheap.
No, not really cheap. And I'd get Tim Miller's visual effects company and do the visual effects because they do great shit.
Okay.
There you go. And he did Deadpool for super cheap, so yeah. Sure. I don't know. Just a thought. So that's my plan for, because the one thing that I would want to do with the DC movies, is do what I'm hoping that Wonder Woman does, drag them into mass appeal. I want at least 75% of everybody who sees it walking out going, I really liked that movie. Whereas now it feels like it's almost 50-50. It's, whereas people, and either they're walking out and they're loving it or they're hating it. I don't want it to be as polarizing. Mm-hmm. I want to cast a wider net. I want to, Yeah. I mean, but I don't want to. I want to Marvelize it in terms of how many people are liking it, but I don't want it to be as. I don't want to go the jokey route that Marvel has done. I don't think you have to go.
I think you're gonna have a hard time doing that.
I don't think you're gonna have to go totally jokey like Marvel has done, but I do think you have to. I think you have to make them for regular folks. You can't. I mean, right now it seems like everything they're doing is like, it's an okay movie for a regular audience, but for comic book fans, it's a hugely elevated experience. Mm. And I'd want to try to even that out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's my DC takeover from now. Let's go with the reboot now.
Reboot.
Reboots.
Okay.
Since you started off, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, and since I'm rebooting it basically from where we are, I sort of thought about this, and this was sort of my initial, what I was saying was the third option, is because I'm rebooting it, but I'm rebooting it from where we are now.
Okay.
So everything that's happened we know of. So the idea of you're recasting like these main, like Iron Man and stuff, people, but they're going to be, it's pretty similar to what I was saying before, is they're going to be more mentor roles to the new people that are coming in.
Okay.
Because we already have them established, the old characters. Are we going to do an origin again? No, it's too recent. I think 2008 is, because that's when they started. That's Iron Man. It's still too early, I think, to just do another origin with another member, and since I'm rebooting the whole thing, I think it's best jump in like the Avengers have been around for a while.
Okay.
And so this big group of Avengers has been around for quite a while, but they're sort of older. They're retiring, basically, a lot of them. And again, older Cap, he's in charge, with Falcon as Captain America.
Okay.
And so he recruits the new Avengers, which will be Ms. Marvel, Spider-Man as
Miles
Morales, Spider-Man. So
nice.
It's the basically right now what we're getting.
The new Avengers. Yeah.
We're looking at right now, mainly because this is the time I'm mostly into Marvel is right now, and so it's a lot of that new stuff, the new Jane Foster Thor, things like this. Okay. These are the people. So we're going to start out introducing.
Do we get any of the like Wiccan or Hulkling or any of those people?
They will. Yeah, I think they'll be in Young Avengers, so they'll already sort of be.
So you're going to do a Young Avengers movie too.
Young Avengers.
I like that idea.
Young Avengers is like because there's two different ones. So this new one is like these ones are just appearing. The Young Avengers have been around for a bit, but they're still they're young. They're kids. They're teenagers and stuff. They're Young Avengers. Yeah. So they're still learning, but they've grown up sort of with the powers more than the people who have just like got powers, and they're like adults or teenagers or whatever. However, they are. So they just got them. But you'll have Young Avengers. You'll also have your regular new Avengers team, and you'll have the Ultimates, which is your sort of science people. That's where you'll have Captain Marvel over there. You'll have Black Panther over there. You'll have the people that are in the Ultimate Comics, not the universe, but the current ones now in the modern universe, where they're solving things more on a scientific basis,
and they're handling more of the celestial type problems.
So recently they were dealing with Galactus, which you can't really do right now, but
no.
They'll deal with things.
You could
like
change
that.
the name of it though.
Sure.
You could.
And they did a lot of different.
There's
stuff.
A being that's absorbing planets and killing them, and we need to shift him. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's where I would go. To have those different teams, and those would be the basis, and you'd follow solo movies of the new Avenger characters of Miles Morales, and Miles Morales would interact with like Peter Parker or something, who's an older guy, but he's still swinging around and stuff. So he's going to be a character, but he's the mentor character to Miles.
Okay.
And then what else do we have? TV. I also had the Netflix.
Okay.
My idea for the Netflix was basically I was trapped between a couple things because I was thinking, keep it basically as is, and basically it's the old universe.
Okay.
So what we still had, I wouldn't reboot it. I'd keep it going because it's still young. Why reboot it right now, where we're at? I feel like it's still young. We got to keep it going for a little bit. The thing is, my idea with the movies is you can somewhat feel like they're connected to the old because it still has the Avengers and stuff, but they don't make references to like, oh hey, they might make references to we fought Ultron before, but it's not specific to that Ultron, that battle that we saw in Age of Ultron or something.
Gotcha.
So it's sort of connected, but not really. You can imagine it being connected if you saw the other ones, but if you haven't, you don't. It doesn't mean anything to you. And so the Netflix one, and I think what works difference between TV and movie here is the TV show is mainly going to be watched mostly by people who do realize, like, are in tune with the interconnected stuff more than your general audience as is anyway. Mm-hmm. So they can understand that it's connected to the old universe, sort of, and less so the new one.
Gotcha.
Is sort of my thought.
Would you add any titles to that? They're kind of doing a lot of the New York street level.
I don't know. It's hard to say only because I feel like they have a lot going right now that I want to see the Defenders happen first, for one, and before you go into another phase. And I feel like they've already set up the next phase pretty well with you have Patsy Walker there, could end up being Hellcat. And so they already have so many shows. I can't just add. I don't feel like how many more shows can I even add? All of them. There's just so many shows. Of them.
Well, no, the one everybody keeps talking about that does sound like kind of a good idea.
Is Moon Knight?
Moon Knight.
Yeah. I've heard a bit. I don't have too much interest in that character, to be honest.
Really? Are you reading the current Jeff Lemire stuff?
No.
It's
good.
Wildly interesting. To the point where I'm almost frustrated by it because he's so he's doing this whole is it real? Is it not real?
Yeah.
And the layers of it just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and I'm genuinely confused. So.
All right, but so that's my ideas just with that. I basically leave it as is. But then you have the ABC one. The ABC one is more. That's a tougher one. I feel like maybe I'll go with Avengers Academy.
Okay.
TV show. So it's a bunch of students who are training to become Avengers, and
I think that's a great
they
idea.
look up to the young Avengers team.
Yeah.
So they'll if they become one day, they could maybe join the Young Avengers.
Exactly.
And Young
But
Avengers.
meanwhile, they're having their own little missions and their own little adventures.
Yeah, they're mostly hanging out. It's more a drama type of thing because I think TV, especially ABC, I think that'll work better for them.
I completely agree. I think that
fits more.
That's
with
one of the
style.
smartest ideas I've heard about doing a Marvel show. Now that I'm thinking about it, because here's the thing: right now in comics, there's 5 or 6 different Avengers teams. Take a handful of kind of more obscure characters from each team, make that your show. So you have White Tiger and a couple other characters, and that becomes your show. Is these people that are in training that have powers, but are definitely not. New Power Man.
Yeah,
who does everything by the culture and chi.
Yeah, and they end up White Tiger and him have a relationship at one point. So there's
if
relationship
we're doing
drama.
Young Avengers Academy, they can have it's
You'll
perfect
drama
breeding ground for relationships because they're going to be young people to teenagers,
and that's what I think ABC as a channel does well. So if I'm going to do anything on there, I'm not going to try something that's not going to work well for their skill set, I guess. The action-oriented stuff might have a better home just on Netflix, yeah. So I think Ghost Rider's now having this really good run on S.H.I.E.L.D. When that's done, he should probably go have a show on Netflix. And I think also Avengers Academy is a good way, if a character or multiple characters really work, you can spin them off. Yeah. Easily. Because you just have a breeding ground for it. Or they end up on Freeform or something. Yeah, they end up on Freeform. So I think there's just a lot of space there. That's a really good idea. So I think that's basically what I do. Okay. Yeah. And see, I didn't even think about TV with mine. Just as a side note for my As Things Are world, if I take over, I'd pretty much leave TV as it is, except I would give Guggenheim and Berlanti complete carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want. Oh, and I would cancel Gotham. Oh yeah, fuck Gotham. What did you do with Lucifer and...
I don't even recognize those.
Yeah.
So,
don't they have another one? Am I even thinking of?
Everything gets... So I would put Berlanti in charge of the entire DC television film universe.
No more
you can
Gotham.
do whatever you want, just no Gotham. Like, if you want to relaunch Gotham as Gotham Central, totally fine with that. That's what it should have been all along. Cool.
You have to move the channel, because I don't think you can...
Nope. That's another thing. Yeah. I put the whole thing on the CW.
You just basically make CW...
I make CW like DC TV. And it's... Yeah. And you can have your little vampire shows and whatever else they have on the channel. They can still be there, like, on, Saturday or whatever. But yeah, like Monday through Friday, I want comic book fans around the country TiVoing, sitting in front of...
You want both the primetime spots, 8 and 9, to be on every day.
Every single day.
5.
I want 8, 9, and 10
shows.
8, 9, and 10. I want, 15 shows. I want 15 DC Comics TV shows. 8, 9, and 10.
That's insane.
And yet, I would watch all of them.
I don't know.
Like, I watch all 4 of them now. I mean, it's yeah. And I'm totally fine with...
15 hours a week.
Oh, and here's the other one
spent watching a show.
Yeah. Here's the other one that I would add that I've been dying for forever, and I'm probably sure I've mentioned it to you. I want the Bruce Wayne origin story Batman show. I want Smallville for Batman.
Yeah.
But instead of staying in one little town, I want him to travel the globe, learning skills, saving people, having adventures on his route to become Batman. And then, like, the thing that Gotham does, where they're constantly name dropping stuff from Batman, like 20 years before he's Batman, you can do that in that show where he's an adult. He's in his... So he comes back to Gotham at 25 to become Batman. So this would be him leaving at 18. So it'd be a 7-year-long show with an end in sight. The end is he becomes Batman and goes back to Gotham. So, like, the final season of the show is year 1. Like, almost, like Frank Miller's year 1, almost verbatim, not like that damn cartoon. Yeah. So, and it ends with the year 1 storyline, and that's where we end the show. Yeah. So then we have 6 years of him traveling the globe and doing stuff. During those 6 years, he can bump into KG Beast. He can bump into Bane. He can bump into, he can, or at least Santa Prisca, and we can all go, oh, that's where Bane is. And it's, we can, like, do, like he goes to the prison in Santa Prisca because that's where this guy knows how to break bricks really well.
They've done a lot of stuff in his past. They do those types of things of his past before, and there's always some sort of reference in there that
connection to one of the
his teacher is someone who knows, and then there's just like all that stuff. So I think that makes sense. Yeah. Would you also? I was thinking, interesting idea is they always do in shows where you see a character and you're following them, and they show flashbacks like during episodes to show this is how they learned that thing growing up as a kid, and now look at them, or how it relates to them being an adult now. Here's what I'm thinking of.
You could do a little bit of that.
Yeah. I'm thinking, what if you did it in the reverse? What if you did, your regular story is the young one.
So he learns the skill, and then you flash forward
to him showing being a badass using it.
Oh, that would be badass.
And so you get a quick shot of like a shadow.
Oh, shit.
You don't get like the full Batman, like you see him, because you save that to the end, but you get like quick, like, moving across the screen, or like in the shadows, he just takes out a bunch of people, just get taken out, but you just see a shadow moving around.
Holy shit.
And that's the flash forward type of...
Or you do an episode where he learns how... He studies with a Shakespearean actor to learn how to do stuff, and then you show him being like Matches Malone at a bar and shit like that. Yeah. That'd be fucking badass. And it's just like a quick
flash forward to show him doing a little bit.
And then show him like throwing shit, and then flash forward to him throwing batarangs. And god damn, that'd be cool. That'd be really...
That is a cool show. We came up with a show. That is an awesome show we just came up with.
Between that and Young Avengers, or Avengers Academy, you're coming up with some really good shit today.
Yeah. Well, off the top of my head, the Avengers Academy, I didn't think about that beforehand.
So that's what I would do back then. Okay, so now to the reboot. So I guess we're doing this thing where we reboot everything from now? Is that
it's sort of, if after 3 movies, DC rebooted right now.
We joke, but Spider-Man did it after 2. I mean, right. Spider-Man did reboot after 3 movies. They made 3 movies, and they were like...
Yeah, they did.
Good, better, bad, shit, reboot!
They freaked out.
They rebooted the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
that's part of Sony's problem. But then again, they were supposed to make the 4th one, it just didn't happen in time, and that's why they rebooted, basically.
So, okay, so if I'm rebooting now, shit, that means I lose Wonder Woman. Fuck. That was the best part of my world.
Well, it's filmed.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So it's not like it can't not. I feel like the ones that are filmed like that in Justice League, they're like basically in the can.
Done. Okay.
So actually, we'll have those.
So if I have Wonder Woman and I have Justice League,
5 movies out,
and they're as good as I think they are, I use those to build. So here's some of the things that I probably do. I don't make Cyborg my first black superhero movie. I make Jon Stewart Green Lantern my first black superhero movie. Just because...
poor Cyborg.
What's that?
Kind of poor Cyborg. He got to be in the Justice League.
Little poor Cyborg, yeah.
And didn't get his own movie.
See, if I could take him out of the Justice League, I would. He wasn't one of my favorites when he was a Teen Titan, so I'm not sure why he got upgraded.
It's because they could make him like the godlike powers, because you were saying you don't...
the tech god. And I get that it's in the 21st century, he then becomes this thing of tech. And that's all well and good. But at the same time, the Vic Stone character has never done much for me.
Yeah.
And I am a Teen Titans fan. I've read him back in the day when he was wearing like the little cyber shorts.
Yeah. Cyber shorts, yeah.
And then on to the most recent run.
I'm currently reading it, yeah. I've been reading it.
I'm not reading the Cyborg books, but I read Teen Titans a lot. So I pull Cyborg out of stuff. I add Jon Stewart Green Lantern into a lot of that stuff. I might get Common to play him. He does seem like a really... When I look at him, he looks like a good casting choice. So yeah, I definitely add him to Justice League if I can.
Monster
and I give him his first solo one.
So he'd be your start of your universe. Would we start with Jon Stewart?
I would start with Jon Stewart Green Lantern. And I would, at the end of that one, drop a teaser for Simon Baz Green Lantern.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that's...
I like Simon Baz.
I really like Simon Baz, too. I find him a very interesting character. I like Jessica Cruz also.
She's an interesting origin that is tough, though.
But I like the idea that she struggles with self-esteem and confidence.
Yeah, she's the...
But at the same time, with the Green Lantern, that really wears thin after a while. Like, I've read 5 or 6 books now, and she's still...
Of the Green Lanterns ones?
Of the Green Lanterns one and Justice League. They're both in both that.
Yeah, I haven't been reading either of those. They haven't really... The writing wasn't particularly interesting to me.
Yeah, it's the writing for Simon Baz is interesting. I like the idea that he's struggling to... Like, he wants to be, like, a militant, angry...
See, that's my problem,
But then he's like, oh, but that makes me look bad. And so, like... I like the idea of somebody struggling with that.
I felt like almost the problem with that Green Lantern was too much, like, up front, like, I'm the tough one that's gonna yell at you, and then I'm the cowering one, and then, like, it was so, like, the way they talked were basically like, hey, I'm angry. And it was just like, why you're describing how you are as a person.
Yeah.
And that was sort of... that's why I didn't want to read much of those comics.
I can see that. Yeah, no, it's he does come across a little bit like that.
Well, they both did.
But that thing of he's angry at how he's treated as a Muslim.
Yeah.
He's also a little. As a Muslim and as a black person, so he's dealing with that, and a lot of it makes him angry. But he knows that anger only makes the whole situation worse.
Yeah.
So he has to, like, rein it in and hold on to it. Yeah, it's an interesting character. I really like it. And then I think him and Jon Stewart have that in common. Because Jon Stewart, when he first came out as a Green Lantern, was the militant black man.
Yeah.
And then over the years has, now we know him more as an architect and as a leader and stuff like that. And he's now filled into that role.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool watching, like he'd almost be like the Robin to Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be a cool thing.
It's an interesting story. So, like, are you at all teasing Justice League or anything from this movie, or just doing solo movie?
Well, Justice League we've talked about is already in the canon done.
Yes, but you're rebooting the universe.
So I'm rebooting it. So, from those two things, I'd tease the fact that Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman all still exist. That's another thing I'd like to do. I'd like to do a Trinity movie.
Okay, yeah.
I think that sounds cool. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't kind of geared up for one of those already. Just because I think the Trinity works better and is more fun than the whole Justice League. Mm-hmm. I really like seeing the dynamic between the three of them.
They have a pretty interesting dynamic. And
yeah.
I think you want to play on it.
And that's one of those ideas that DC can do. Marvel has no counterpoint to that. Mm-mm. Like a lot of these, there's a counterpoint.
They don't have a Trinity. They don't have a Trinity. What do you do? An Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor?
That's the closest they get.
Yeah, and that's no one ever goes, oh yeah, those the main three.
Nope, no one ever calls them that. Yeah, they're not the big three. They're not any of that. So I definitely do a Trinity movie. I definitely relaunch Green Lantern faster, and then from there, again, I like I mentioned before, I would go with the Justice League Dark movie. I think that has a ton of appeal that they're doing.
This does feel like a weird, though, like in terms of getting a general audience into like a franchise. Jumping in with Green Lantern, you also have Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
And then Trinity.
And here's the thing,
I
would add probably one character, maybe Batman, as a tag-along character for Justice League Dark.
Like they are in the animated movie.
Sort of, yeah. It's so that it's a Justice League Dark story, but Batman's along for the ride.
I hate when they do that. Okay, I'm not watching this movie. Actually, I'm probably watching the movie, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
Okay, but I think that's a way that we can bring a lot of those people in, and we can have that whole world introduced to Batman Batman's almost like a viewer in the theater, but he also is just along for the ride. So
okay.
I definitely do a Flash movie. Okay, here's the other thing to do if I'm rebooting.
You're doing Wally West?
You know I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Wally West, and I'm not doing Wally West. I'm going to merge the TV worlds and the movie world.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to bring over Grant Gustin. I don't necessarily go with a Green Arrow movie in this reboot world, but I definitely put Grant Gustin.
Yeah, but here's the question then. So everything that's in these TV shows is now canon to your movies?
Yeah. So I do a thing. I do a Flashpoint thing. I do a thing, and I fix that.
Well, you could just be in a different universe, and it's a different Flash.
That works too.
It's a different guy. It's still Grant Gustin, but he's not the same guy.
There you go. We find out that the Justice League world is like Earth 5 or something like that. So there you go. And that's how I fix that. Or I do or
they both call it Earth 1.
Or the next movie. One of the next movies I do is Crisis.
Yeah.
And we do a giant Crisis thing.
At this point, because Crisis is coming up on the TV shows, you could mix it in with that. Because that's 2018.
There you go.
It's supposed to be.
There you go.
So that's not too far off. So you're pretty close to you can do it then. That could start your universe.
There you go.
Do a Crisis from your TV shows to your movies.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I do is I also start doing more of the hardened TV show type things.
Okay.
And one of the ones that I go with would be doing an actual Guardian show, okay. Not the Jimmy Olsen Guardian, but the actual
shiny one
from Superman comics, the blue and yellow one.
Okay.
And
I saw it was gold.
And I would do a Cadmus show. Because Cadmus is where I'm going to introduce a ton of guys, and eventually I build up.
Cadmus is a bad guys right now.
Bad guys right now, but and they kind of always are bad guys.
Yeah.
But they're also like cutting edge tech bad guys.
Yeah.
So that's where Superboy comes from. That's where.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where Guardian comes from. Guardian is a clone.
Yeah.
So there you go. So the other thing that I would do is I would start doing more Superman movies, specifically pulling from the great Superman storylines from back in the day, and the third Superman movie I would do is going to be Death of Superman.
Ooh, we're going to redo it, basically.
We're going to redo it, yeah, and we're going to do it right. And Doomsday's going to look good, and he's not going to be 20 feet tall and naked.
Does he have ripped off shorts on?
No, not ripped off shorts on. He's going to start in a containment suit. And during the fight, the same thing with Superman. Superman's going to start in a costume, and instead of the costume being perfectly pristine through the whole thing, the shirt's going to get ripped, and he's going to get.
This is probably going to be rated R.
Possibly. No, I think we're going to go right close to rated R. Never quite.
Well, here's the thing: Batman Superman about rated R just because they punched too much.
Too much punching?
Yeah, it reached a level. Well, it had reached a level that there was so much violence.
Really?
That's why it was rated R. You don't remember us talking about this, basically?
But I thought it was rated R because they used to have a cut of somebody getting speared or something like that, and they pulled it out.
No, because the extended cut's rated R.
Right. Okay.
And Superman gets speared in the theatrical cut.
That's true.
It's just they had too much graphic violence.
Interesting.
And so your version is definitely going to have too much because it sounds like they toned down the graphic violence for. I'd say even the extended cut of BVS has it's not. I don't know how much it even changed.
I gotta sit down and watch that at some point.
Nothing. It did not add anything to the fight scene. So I didn't notice really. So whatever it did fight scene wise was a couple punches and that was enough.
and here's the thing that I do with that. So I now in the comic books, Justice League is a big part of that storyline because they get destroyed and messed up. I take all them out of it, so they're not a part of it. I probably don't throw any other heroes into it because I honestly,
it's just him fighting.
The heroes in that got hurt basically end up being his girl in a fridge situation. Yeah. They're there for motivation and to move their individual storylines forward because they all had to change after that.
Yeah.
Booster Gold doesn't have powers anymore. Where's that going to go? And Bloodwind is John Johns. Where's that going to go?
And we have no idea who any of these people are, so pretty much in your...
Exactly. None of these people exist in this world. So yeah. So we just show Superman, but we do the cross-country fight thing like they did in that.
Yeah. And
I loved that idea.
You see John Henry Irons and all
this
stuff.
Yes, we meet John Henry Irons, and then he dies, and then the fourth Superman movie is Return of the Superman.
Yeah.
And we see Cyborg Superman, Superboy, Man of Steel, and Eradicator all doing their thing.
Yeah.
And it ends the same way the regular storyline does, where we find out Cyborg Superman is bad, and the real Superman has to be reborn, albeit in a fragile state, and come back and fight him.
Are you doing the Mongol and Green Lantern stuff? Is that going to happen?
I cut Mongol out. I cut Mongol and Green Lantern out of it.
Okay. None of that Green Lantern Parallax?
Nope.
I'm not going straight into that.
We'll do that. I'll do that, but I'll separate it. I don't need to bleed through.
You don't want it to interact and be the same?
I think when they do that kind of stuff, like, I understand that it helps them sell comic books, but I think it takes away from the main plot of the story. I think it takes.
I'm wondering though, if you're doing just that movie though, you end in like a city got destroyed, but you don't really focus on it.
Yeah.
And then you could in Green Lantern just be like, yeah, my city was destroyed.
Exactly.
My city was destroyed by this.
My city was destroyed.
My city was destroyed.
Where's my city?
Oh my god, where's my city?
I gotta remake my city with my ring.
Oh my god.
But here's the other thing: my Green Lantern isn't Hal Jordan anyway.
You're right.
So, and I don't want to turn Jon Stewart into Parallax.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever do that movie. I think
Simon Baz could become Parallax at some point.
See, I don't think you ever can do that movie.
No, I don't think so either. You're probably right. It's too much. It's crazy and it's nonsense and
it's it's as a comic book fan, I love that story.
Yeah.
I read that Emerald Twilight. I read that.
You're also
20 times
killing a bunch of Green Lanterns.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a bit of a messy. You'd get a response similar to Batman. I mean, Batman and Superman didn't even do that much.
Well, but imagine Batman like killing the Justice League, and I mean that's a hard movie to sell. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe everybody just watches it once and never again. So yeah, it's more like selling a car wreck than a movie. So I do Dawn of the Superman. I also plan movies around the Batman, because here's the thing: I really liked and probably this is because I was a teenager in the 90s. I loved the 90s storylines, like Nightfall and Night's End and stuff like that. I definitely do a Nightfall movie. I make Nightfall a trilogy. There absolutely would be. It'd be a great trilogy where first movie we do the whole Nightfall thing, all up until the breaking of the back, and then we set that up. And the breaking of the back, and the first movie ends with them taking Bruce in the ambulance. Like, what's going to happen? I don't know. And fade to black. Second movie picks up.
It's him on his journey in his wheelchair, just traveling.
We show a little bit of that. We get to go do that. Yeah. Well, no. The first movie then starts with the handoff to Jean-Paul Vallee and all of that, and then that movie ends with Bruce Wayne getting his spine fixed. And like, oh my god, I can come back, and everybody else realizing that Jean-Paul Vallee is probably not a good choice as Batman, and this is going bad.
He let that one villain die. What was his name?
Abattoir.
That's right.
So then we start with the third movie. In the third movie, he's straight up killing villains.
Okay.
Which is what he did. I mean, the third one, he's like full on. I've got a machine gun on my arm and a flamethrower on my other arm. I'm just like, and I barely even jump anymore because I'm mostly a giant robot. And then that one becomes Night's End. So it'd be Nightfall, Night Quest, Night's End would be a nice little trilogy. So I definitely do all that. That's another thing. Comic book movies seem to have gotten away from telling the good comic book stories.
Yeah.
Always wanting to merge them and
it's also it's also one and done. I'd say they've always sort of been that though, the getting away from the comic book stories. They've never really had a focus on, here, let's do a comic book story the way it is in the comics. They've never really done that.
Exactly.
So, and I understand why, because there's so much history, and it's sort of, especially when you're doing, it's like, this is the Superman movie. It's like, well, what exactly do we take? Do we take this one story, or do we do a combination of things and create our own? And I think they could go either way. You could do your own. I think the big deal, like, with the problem with what you're saying of the trilogy is you're basically like, we're going to be successful. Because if you do that one, and like that one part doesn't really work, you're kind of now a huge hole of you had a to be continued of a story that's people just were like, And
I guess it's possible that they could not succeed, but at the same time, it's such a great story. Like, some of those are, especially the Superman one and the Batman ones, those are...
Yeah,
I mean, think about it, because the Nightfall, Knight's Quest, Knight's End, that became a novel. That became... I mean, it's a major...
Oh, I love these things. Like, that's always something I'd say with these, but my issue is I don't think enough people will watch it. I think huge fans, comic book fans, will love it. There's not enough comic book fans to pay for this.
See, that's the thing. I think those stories are good enough even without comic books.
I agree, but I think you're going to have a harder time getting other people into it. Like, right now, we're into these movies, but they're one and done. They're quick, and a lot of we see people not staying for the end credits of Marvel movies for some reason. We see these things, and so that's the thing, is it baffles you, but these are the people, like, there's so many people that they don't care. They don't care about the connectivity.
So then what I'm saying then is that I feel like these stories... These are the stories that I feel like could stand as literature.
Yeah.
In fact, growing up, I had the novelization of Nightfall. I read the book before I read the comic book.
I would also say you probably wouldn't have a connected universe so much with these because you have to change a lot. Because you're fitting into what are we doing with the rest of the universe? Because once you do something, it has to affect something over here, so you can't just do... And I think in an extended universe, a trilogy doesn't always work, because now, what are you going to do in between those gaps when you have other movies coming out from other movies? Like, do you have a Justice League in those years that it's going to take for you to do a full trilogy with Superman's death? How are you going to fit a Justice League in the middle of it, and time is going to pass? And that's the I think the issue people are having. But I think we're getting more towards it.
If you did something like that, you could actually, and they did this with. I don't think that he was part of the Justice League during the Nightfall thing when they had the other Batman.
Yeah.
I don't think he was. I know he crossed over to a couple different titles, but not much. But Jim Gordon, when he was Batman, did cross over and was part of the Justice League.
Yeah.
So I think you could do a little bit of that. You could have, like, if you did a Justice League like that, they were like, okay, and call Batman. You call Batman, and it's not Batman.
I think that's good.
So you can either do that as a throwaway scene or... throw him in the whole fucking movie.
I just think don't think general audiences are ready yet, because I think we're getting there, because like we're seeing it, I think, more and more where these movies flow together more, because with Civil War is it actually is one of those ones that grabs and flows with other things from previous films, and it's kind of important that you paid attention in some ways. And so I think they're doing it more, but I think it's becoming more of a process of working from that standalone movie type of thing to these multiple movies over gaps of time where you're having No Man's Land and Batman, and you have other movies, but that's still happening in between, and you kind of deal with some big event that's...
God, I would love to see No Man's Land as a movie.
I would love to see it.
I think you'd almost have to do it as a TV series, though.
Yeah, because it's big.
It's so big.
It's pretty massive. But,
I mean, it took like 5 years to do, didn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, there were a lot of little stories in between it. It was a lot of...
I kind of want all those.
Yeah, and I think that would almost be what it is, because you'd start a No Man's Land in a Batman film or something, and then you can have a bunch of films in between that, sure, it's Superman or something, or a Cyborg, but they're off doing something, but you know it exists, and maybe they could deal with it, but then you jump to a Batman, and he's dealing with whatever he's doing, and it's a story of him dealing with the Riddler during No Man's Land. And so... that's the main story. It's No Man's Land. He's dealing with that, but you also have the side story of them trying to deal with what's going on.
If you wanted to do like the TV hybrid movie world thing,
Lex President.
Yeah. Well, no, I think No Man's Land you could do with that. So you pick like giant parts of No Man's Land and make those movies, and then have a companion TV show
for just the hardcores, and then you don't reference it in the movies,
like they're talking about doing with Dark Tower.
Yeah.
So.
I could be done. I think it's just going to take a little while.
I agree.
They're working towards it. Movies and TVs and stuff.
At the end of the day, what I probably would prefer more than anything would be comic books were not made to be movies.
Yeah.
Comic book events can be movies, but comic books on their own
those are tough, yeah.
were meant to be TV shows. Were meant to be serialized. Yeah. And meant to, they come out every week like clockwork, unless you're talking to some.
Well, about monthly, basically.
Monthly, yeah. Talking. So, more than anything, I think I would like to see a transition from, like right now, it's all about the movies, and the TV shows are there, and we like them, and they're good, but you can tell that all the eggs are in the movie basket.
It's just because more people go, and
it's because more people go, and they make more money. I would like to see a transition, though, to more comic book TV shows. Because I think that's...
There's a lot as is.
There's a lot as is, but at the same time, but more Netflix type.
Yeah.
To where you watch them and binge them and be done.
I think the only issue is that...
That's another thing. I think we should get away from this. This is just a whole thing in general. Television needs to get away from the 24-episode season. It's an American bullshit thing, and we need to stop doing it.
I think the more, as we go to digital, I think that's what we're doing. Everything digital is starting to do that. We have HBO and Showtime.
13 episodes max, yeah.
So I think it's just going to be the network TV.
Turns out British people had this shit figured out a long time ago.
Until we can basically get rid of... It's the people who still watch network TV and sit down and watch 2.5 Men every week for some reason.
Yeah.
Then...
Well, not anymore because they canceled it, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they still do it because it's probably the repeats.
There you go.
They probably play repeats, and they sit down every week.
People that are making shows like Bull, the number one new show of the season, I'm like
what is that?
What is that?
Yeah, there are people that just watch TV and just
leave their channel on CBS and just come home every day and turn it on and then turn it off. Yeah. That's
we just got to get through the older generations as things start to develop, and then I think we will eventually move towards a place where TV, movies, all these things are so they're just constant. There's a constant story.
Yeah.
And because that's what it feels like in every franchise. Now everything's trying to be a connected universe. And so once that starts happening, then everything's going to start being such a long story that it's super connected. They're all going to be their soap operas. They're all going to be these massive telenovela type things of interconnected.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so ready for that.
And as nerds, the geek people we're already there. We're already ready for this. It's the other people that have to catch up to what we're ready for. And
but I didn't watch that. And it's well, then you're not a real fan, and fuck you. And
it's the general audience just isn't there yet. And we'll be someday we'll just be able to. Everyone can just jump into the middle of some sort of Batman story and be weird shit's happening, but I know that's Batman, and he's trying to kick some bad guys.
Oh, when I started picking up Batman again, and he's fighting Bloom, and I'm what the fuck is Bloom?
And but then you just start reading it, you keep reading it, and you're I
read 5 issues, and I was like, okay, Bloom is a plant guy. Moving on, let's go. And it's,
some sort of drug thing, we got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, giving them powers, the usual.
Anyway. Alright, so I think that's it. That's our whole thing. Ben and Trevor fix superhero movies. So
we did it.
Yep.
Alright. I think that's it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. You can check out... We have a Patreon now. Go donate money to us. You can get rewards like more podcasts. We'll do more podcasts if you donate. That's at geekwars.com. I mean, not geekwars.com. Patreon.com/geekwars. It is /geekwars. Don't use the search engine link right yet. They don't have great customer service.
Because it's Geekwars?
Yeah, it's GEEWK Wars. I don't know how and it saved it. It's still there. I can't get rid of it. I've tried saving the right one multiple times. I tried, I even switched it back to the Geek Wars.
Oh my gosh.
And then resaved it as Geek Wars, and it still didn't change it. Because I guess they just don't understand changing the URL for some reason
assholes. On there. Alright.
But we'll figure it out. But until then... Just know that if it doesn't take you to the right place, if you search for it on their website.
Patreon.com/geekwars.
You can email us, geekwars.com at... I keep doing that. At geekwars@podcast@gmail.com.
Eventually, we should probably just buy geekwars.com.
Yeah.
We should
geekwarspodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Geek Wars Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Wars Podcast. And you find me, Trevor, on Twitter at Daclus, DACLUS. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, go subscribe there and subscribe here. YouTube channel, we are going to be putting podcasts up there. That might be where you found this. You might have found that from here. Oh, crap. That's a phone. Oh, crap. All right. Geek out, everybody.
Geek out.
Man, tired.